For 6 long years, the world held its breath, suspended in a state of bewilderment. There was no trace, not a single whisper, just a profound and haunting silence. This silence enveloped the story of one of the most audacious financial criminals in modern history. The trail had gone completely cold, the mystery seemingly destined to remain unsolved. Then, at the beginning of this year, a sudden jolt sent shockwaves through global media outlets. Headlines exploded across news sites and television screens, each one more sensational than the last. The most wanted woman in the world found and missing. Cryptoqueen Ruja Ignatova found alive after disappearing 5 years ago. The ghost had seemingly returned to haunt the world she had so thoroughly deceived and abandoned. What could possibly have ignited these explosive and dramatic statements after so many years of nothing? The trigger was something tangible, something made of brick and mortar, a symbol of extreme wealth. It all began with the public announcement of a staggering real estate sale in the heart of London. A luxurious penthouse, nestled in the upscale and exclusive suburb of Kensington, was listed for a cool $15.5 million. The prestigious real estate firm Knight Frank was handling the deal, a name synonymous with luxury property. However, a crucial detail of British law threw a wrench into the proceedings. The law dictates that a property sale cannot be completed through a proxy. Only the true, legal owner can finalise the transaction. And who was the registered owner of this opulent London residence, this multi-million-dollar testament to ill-gotten gains? It was none other than Ruja Ignatova herself. The discovery of her direct connection to the property was a bombshell. As soon as this fact became public knowledge, Knight Frank acted swiftly and decisively, removing the high-profile listing from their books. For legal experts and seasoned investigators who had been tracking this case for years, the implication was clear and monumental. The fact that the penthouse had not been transferred to another owner, that Ruja's name was still on the deed, strongly suggested one thing: Ruja Ignatova is very much alive and, somewhere out there, actively evading the long arm of the FBI. This single detail, a simple property listing, could represent a monumental breakthrough in the infamous and sprawling OneCoin case. After all, the founder of this colossal pyramid scheme is not just any fugitive, she is a global icon of financial crime. Ruja Ignatova is currently one of the most prominent figures on the FBI's top 10 most wanted criminals list, a distinction reserved for the most dangerous and elusive fugitives. The US government is so determined to bring her to justice that they are offering a reward of up to $5 million for any information that leads directly to her arrest and subsequent conviction. This isn't just a story about a vanished fraudster, it's about a woman who allegedly orchestrated a global scam worth an almost unimaginable sum estimated to be between $4 billion and $15 billion. The story of Ruja's disappearance is as dramatic as the crime she allegedly committed. On the fateful day of October 25, 2017, she calmly boarded a commercial Ryanair flight. The plane took off from Sofia, the capital of her native Bulgaria, and was bound for Athens, Greece. Once that plane touched down, Ruja Ignatova seemingly vanished from the face of the earth, stepping out of the public eye and into the realm of legend and speculation. The timing of her departure was eerily precise and highly suspicious. It occurred just 13 days after a US district court in New York had issued a sealed international arrest warrant for her, a warrant that would soon be made public. Many speculate she was tipped off, using her extensive network to stay one step ahead of the law. The FBI, however, offers a darker and more specific theory about how she knew they were closing in. They believe that Ignatova, ever the calculating strategist, had taken extreme measures to protect herself. Federal investigators allege that she had managed to place a bug, a listening device, in the apartment of an American boyfriend she was seeing at the time. Through this covert surveillance, she supposedly learned a devastating truth. Her lover was cooperating with the federal investigation into OneCoin. He had become an informant, feeding information directly to the authorities, who were building a case against her. This betrayal, ironically discovered through her own act of deception, was likely the final signal that her time as a free woman was running out. Just days before she took that final flight, a strange and confusing incident occurred between Ruja and her brother, Konstantin Ignatov, who was deeply involved in the OneCoin operation. She had a perplexing phone argument with him after he discovered she had purchased two separate plane tickets for the exact same time. One ticket was for a flight to Vienna, Austria, and the other was for the flight she ultimately took to Athens, Greece. When Konstantin questioned her about this bizarre arrangement, Ruja provided no clear explanation, deepening the mystery around her plans. She was creating confusion, a smokescreen to cover her tracks as she prepared to make her grand escape from the world stage. When she arrived in Athens, she was not alone. She was accompanied by two bodyguards, who later provided statements about her final known movements. They claimed they left her in the city to attend a meeting. The meeting was supposedly with a group of Russian-speaking individuals with whom she intended to go on vacation in Greece. This detail aligns with another piece of information from her brother Konstantin. He recalled that shortly before she vanished forever, Ruja had met with an influential and extremely wealthy Russian individual. She never disclosed his name, keeping his identity a closely guarded secret. This shadowy Russian connection adds yet another layer of intrigue and danger to the story of her disappearance. But who was this woman who could command such power, orchestrate such secrecy, and ultimately vanish into thin air, leaving a multi-billion-dollar crater in the global financial landscape? To understand the criminal, we must first understand her origins. Ruja Ignatova was born in 1980, with sources differing on whether her birthplace was the Bulgarian city of Ruse or the capital, Sofia. At the tender age of 10, her family made a life-altering decision to move to Germany, seeking better opportunities and a brighter future away from post-communist Bulgaria. From a young age, Ruja was described by those who knew her as exceptionally intelligent, fiercely motivated, and somewhat aloof. She excelled in her academic pursuits, demonstrating a sharp mind that also made her a gifted chess player. Her ambition was matched only by her intellect. She pursued an incredibly impressive and prestigious education, a string of qualifications that would later become the cornerstone of her credible facade. She first graduated with a degree in economics from the University of Constance in Germany, a solid foundation for her future endeavors. But she didn't stop there. She then crossed the English Channel to attend one of the most famous universities in the world, earning a second degree in European law from Oxford University. To cap it all off, she eventually obtained a PhD in law, cementing her title as Dr. Ruja. This formidable educational background was her passport into the exclusive world of high finance. With her formidable qualifications in hand, she wasted no time in climbing the corporate ladder, landing prestigious jobs that most people could only dream of. Her most notable role was at the Bulgarian branch of McKinsey & Company, a globally recognized and elite consulting firm. Working at McKinsey meant she was advising powerful corporations and dealing with immense sums of money on a daily basis. This experience gave her a front-row seat to the world of the ultra-rich. But for Ruja, being an advisor to the wealthy was not enough. She desperately wanted to be rich herself, a burning desire that consumed her. She devoured books on how to make money, searching for the secret formula to immense fortune. By the time she was 31 years old, she was successful by any normal standard, but she was still not the millionaire she aspired to be. Her daily dealings with incredibly wealthy clients at McKinsey only fueled her growing desperation and impatience. She saw the fortunes they controlled and believed she was smarter and more deserving. This simmering ambition began to curdle into a dangerous obsession. She started looking for shortcuts, for a faster path to the wealth she craved. It was around this time, in 2013, that her attention turned toward a radical new idea that was beginning to make waves in the world of finance, Bitcoin, and the burgeoning universe of cryptocurrency. Ruja Ignatova saw cryptocurrency not just as a technological innovation, but as a golden opportunity. Her background in international law and finance, combined with her extensive network of contacts from her time at McKinsey, made her a unique and credible voice on the subject. She quickly positioned herself as an expert, becoming a sought-after speaker at financial seminars and conferences across Europe. She could articulate the complex ideas behind Bitcoin in a way that was both accessible and exciting, captivating audiences with visions of a new financial frontier. She was polished, articulate, and carried the undeniable authority of her Oxford PhD, which she mentioned at every possible opportunity. She was building a reputation as a crypto visionary. It was at one such seminar, in November of 2013, that a fateful encounter took place. In the audience, a man named Sebastian Greenwood watched her speak, completely mesmerized. Greenwood was a different kind of operator, a master of a field that thrived on charisma and recruitment multi-level marketing, or MLM. He had a history of involvement in questionable schemes and understood the raw power of building a network of sellers. As he watched Ruja command the stage, captivating the crowd with her talk on crypto, a powerful idea began to form in his mind. He saw the perfect combination of hype and structure, a potential goldmine waiting to be tapped into. After her presentation, Greenwood approached her. He didn't waste time with pleasantries, instead cutting straight to the heart of his idea with a question that would change both of their lives forever. Have you ever considered multi-level marketing? The question hung in the air, a proposal for a partnership built on a shared, singular ambition. They both recognized in each other a common, overriding goal that trumped all else. They wanted to get rich, and they wanted to do it quickly. Ruja had the financial credibility and the crypto narrative. Sebastian had the sales structure and the MLM playbook. Together, they believed they had found the perfect formula for an unstoppable money-making machine. Their plan was audacious and deeply cynical. They would combine the speculative frenzy surrounding cryptocurrency with the exponential growth engine of multi-level marketing. This venture was never about building a legitimate, functioning cryptocurrency with real-world value or technological innovation. The goal was far simpler and more predatory. The entire enterprise was designed to create a self-perpetuating growth cycle. A vast network of sellers, motivated by the promise of earning huge commissions, would aggressively push the product. This sales pressure would drive up the coin's perceived price, which in turn would create a sense of urgency and FOMO, fear of missing out, attracting even more people to invest, feeding the cycle anew. With the blueprint for their scheme in place, they assigned their roles. Ruja, with her banking experience, her PhD, and her polished, sophisticated persona, would be the face of the operation. She was the ideal frontwoman, projecting an image of intelligence, trustworthiness, and visionary leadership. Sebastian Greenwood, the seasoned MLM guru, would take charge of the sales side, building and managing the global network of promoters who would peddle their product. They needed a name, something bold and aspirational that could compete with the biggest name in the game. They christened their venture OneCoin, and with audacious confidence, they immediately began promoting it as the Bitcoin killer. There was, however, a shocking and fundamental flaw at the very core of their grand plan. Neither Ruja nor Sebastian had the technical expertise or the resources to actually create a blockchain. A blockchain is the essential, decentralized digital ledger that underpins all legitimate cryptocurrencies, recording and verifying every transaction. Without it, a cryptocurrency is nothing more than a fiction. But in a stroke of genius deception, they turned this crippling weakness into their greatest advantage. They simply told people that they had a blockchain, a revolutionary new one that was faster and more secure than Bitcoin's. Since it didn't actually exist, they were free from the constraints of reality. Instead of a complex, decentralized network, Ruja's multi-billion-dollar crypto empire was run on something far simpler. She merely kept a record of all the OneCoins that had been bought on a centralized SQL database. In essence, it was nothing more than a glorified Excel spreadsheet that she alone controlled. This gave her absolute power. She could invent coins out of thin air. She could manually double the holdings of investors to create a false sense of prosperity, and she could arbitrarily change the price of one coin whenever she pleased. completely independent of any real market mechanics. It was a financial dictatorship masquerading as a democratic revolution. To navigate the tricky legal landscape and avoid being immediately shut down as an illegal pyramid scheme, they devised another clever loophole. OneCoin didn't technically sell cryptocurrency directly to its customers. Instead, people were convinced to purchase education packages. These packages were supposed to contain valuable materials on finance and investing, but in reality, they were mostly filled with basic, low-quality PDF files, much of which was plagiarized from other sources like Wikipedia. But the content of the packages didn't matter. The crucial part was that with every package purchased, customers received free tokens. These tokens, they were told, could then be used to mine for OneCoin. This way, OneCoin could claim it was officially selling an educational product, not a financial one. With the scam in place, Ruja Ignatova transformed herself into Dr. Ruja, a glamorous icon of the digital age. She flaunted her Oxford PhD, designer dresses, and dazzling jewelry, crafting an image of credibility and success. Dr. Ruja became a global evangelist, speaking at lavish events and giving interviews, always promising that OneCoin was the people's coin, simple, safe, and revolutionary. She expertly played on the fear of missing out, promising OneCoin would surpass Bitcoin and offering a second chance at crypto riches. Her message was irresistible, accessible wealth for ordinary people, led by a brilliant, trustworthy guide. The timing was perfect. Bitcoin was booming, and people were desperate not to miss the next big thing. Ruja's polished image and emotionally charged message proved devastatingly effective. She wasn't just selling a coin, she was selling hope, and people invested in her as much as in OneCoin. Her academic credentials and glamorous persona made the dream of wealth feel real. Investors trusted her, believed in her, and handed over their savings. The power of her performance was enough to silence doubts. Dr. Ruja became the face of a financial revolution, one built entirely on illusion. The world was captivated, and the scam grew faster than anyone could have imagined. OneCoin's value was pure fiction. There was no blockchain, no open market, just a spreadsheet controlled by Ruja. The price of OneCoin rose whenever she decided, creating the illusion of unstoppable growth. Investors saw their accounts climb, convinced they'd made a brilliant investment. This fake success fueled a global recruiting frenzy as promoters pointed to ever-rising charts. The system was designed to grow exponentially, feeding on greed and the illusion of guaranteed returns. But cashing out was nearly impossible. OneCoin's internal exchange, Xcoins, imposed strict limits, making it nearly impossible to withdraw real money. The money flowed in one direction from investors to Ruja and her team. When complaints arose, the company blamed technical issues or promised a future IPO. These excuses kept hope alive and money flowing in. The promise of an IPO was the ultimate bait, convincing millions to hold on to worthless tokens. The illusion of value was maintained until the very end. In reality, there was never any value at all. OneCoin's global events were more spectacle than seminar massive arenas, loud music and a cult-like atmosphere. Dr. Ruja was the star, captivating crowds from Macau to London. The highlight came at Wembley Arena, where she announced a new blockchain and doubled everyone's coins overnight. The crowd erupted, blinded by the promise of instant riches. No one questioned the economic absurdity. Doubling supply without demand should crash value, but Ruja simply declared the price unchanged. The spectacle was crucial for recruitment. Promoters brought new investors to witness the frenzy firsthand. The energy, the social proof, and Ruja's charisma made skepticism vanish. These events fueled the multi-level marketing engine, driving exponential growth. The promise of easy wealth was irresistible. The showmanship masked the scam's emptiness. The world watched, and the scheme grew. The illusion was complete until it wasn't. Despite the hype, cracks began to show. Online watchdogs like Behind MLM exposed the red flags: fake price increases, impossible returns, and no real blockchain. Regulators in Europe issued warnings, calling OneCoin a pyramid scheme. The first real blow came from Norwegian blockchain expert Bjorn Bjerke. Offered a job to build OneCoin's blockchain, he realized they had none. He tested the system. His transactions never appeared on the so-called blockchain display. It was all fake, just a script to fool investors. Bjorn went public, confirming the technology was a lie. His revelations shook the community, especially the technically savvy. Ruja's image of brilliance began to crumble. Doubt spread, and the foundation of her empire started to crack. The truth was out. OneCoin was a house of cards. The collapse had begun. In January 2017, the OneCoin exchange, Xcoinx, abruptly shut down, trapping millions of investors. Their digital tokens became worthless overnight. Ruja claimed the shutdown was temporary, promising a future IPO and untold riches. In reality, she was stalling for time as new investments dried up. The classic Ponzi collapse had begun. No new money, no payouts. Under mounting pressure, Ruja planned her exit. She installed her brother Konstantin as the new leader, setting him up as the fall guy. This was no act of trust, it was a calculated move. Leaked emails revealed her plan: take the money, run, and leave someone else to face the consequences. Konstantin inherited a bankrupt empire. Ruja prepared to vanish, leaving chaos behind. The endgame was in motion, the scam was collapsing, and Ruja was ready to disappear. As external pressure mounted, danger grew from within Ruja's inner circle. She discovered her lover and banker Gilbert Armenta was betraying her. He'd become an FBI informant. Secret recordings confirmed her worst fears. The FBI was closing in. Every conversation with Gilbert was now evidence against her. Realizing arrest was inevitable, Ruja activated her escape plan. She created chaos, confusing travel plans, handing the company to her brother, and meeting mysterious contacts. On October 25, 2017, with the FBI closing in, Ruja boarded a flight from Sofia to Athens. She vanished without a trace, leaving behind a multi-billion-dollar scam and millions of victims. Her disappearance became one of the greatest mysteries in financial crime. The empire she built on illusion crumbled overnight. The world was left searching for answers, and for Dr. Ruja. The OneCoin saga ended not with justice, but with a vanishing act. The legend of the Cryptoqueen lives on, a cautionary tale for the digital age. Since that fateful Ryanair flight in October 2017, Ruja Ignatova has not been officially seen by any law enforcement agency. Her complete disappearance has left a vacuum filled with rampant speculation and competing theories. The world is sharply divided, with two primary possibilities regarding her fate. The first theory is that she is alive and well, living in luxury and hiding in plain sight. She underwent extensive plastic surgery and is living under a new identity, using forged documents to manage the billions she stole. Evidence supporting this theory continues to mount. The recent attempt to sell her London penthouse is a significant piece of the puzzle. The property was never transferred out of her name, strongly indicating she is still alive. Furthermore, her brother Konstantin traveled to Dubai immediately after her disappearance. He posted photos, falsely tagged as Bulgaria, a clear attempt to misdirect anyone following his sister's trail. Dubai is a critical location in this theory. The UAE has no extradition treaty with the United States, making it an attractive safe haven. Her connections there run deep. In 2015, she obtained a banking license in the UAE for $116 million. She allegedly sold property in Dubai worth $1 billion to Sheikh Saud bin Faisal Al Qasimi, a member of the ruling royal family. Such connections could provide protection from the FBI and international agencies. Her brother's testimony adds weight to this theory. Konstantin claimed he maintained phone contact with his sister for a significant period after her disappearance, continuing until his arrest in March 2019. Some investigators speculate she's still actively controlling the remnants of the OneCoin empire, directing a new scam on the Polygon blockchain, continuing to collect millions from victims, a ghost still pulling the strings. While the idea of Ruja living a life of luxury is compelling, a far darker and more violent theory exists. This chilling version suggests the Cryptoqueen's reign came to a brutal and bloody end. According to this narrative, Ruja Ignatova was murdered in November 2018, just over a year after she disappeared. The alleged crime scene was a private yacht sailing on the Ionian Sea off the coast of Greece. The story gets even more gruesome, with sources claiming her body was dismembered and her remains thrown into the water, ensuring she would never be found. This theory posits that her criminal connections became her executioners. The alleged instigator is a name that strikes fear in the European underworld: Christoforos Amanatidis, a notorious Bulgarian drug baron known as Taki. He was believed to be Ignatova's head of security, paid €100,000 per month for her protection. Taki, currently believed to be hiding in Dubai, allegedly had deep ties to the OneCoin scheme, using it to launder his drug profits. As law enforcement pressure mounted, Ruja became a liability he could not afford, a loose end that needed permanent silencing. This murder theory gained traction following the brutal assassination of former Chief of Criminal Police Lyubomir Ivanov in Sofia, Bulgaria. When investigators searched Ivanov's home, they discovered documents in his safe containing details about Ruja's murder at Taki's hands. The web of death grew even wider. One of Taki's longtime associates, charged in Ivanov's murder, was shot dead in Cape Town in June 2023. This associate was a potential source for US investigators, and his death was another act of silencing. The chain of mysterious events doesn't end there. Just 4 days after that Cape Town murder, another key figure vanished. Frank Schneider, a former Luxembourg intelligence officer and Ruja's closest advisor, disappeared from house arrest in France. Schneider faced extradition to the US and over 40 years in prison for his OneCoin role. Whether he fled to escape justice or was silenced by the same dangerous people remains another unanswered question in this deadly saga. In the long and shadowy absence of the Cryptoqueen herself, the slow but steady gears of justice have begun to grind down on her network of accomplices. While Ruja Ignatova may have successfully vanished, many of her key lieutenants have been unable to escape the consequences of their actions. Her co-founder, the multi-level marketing guru Sebastian Greenwood, finally faced his reckoning. After being extradited to the United States, he pleaded guilty to charges of wire fraud and money laundering conspiracies. The man who helped build the pyramid now faces the prospect of spending up to 20 years behind bars, a stark contrast to the life of luxury he once enjoyed at the top of the scheme. Ruja's own brother, Konstantin Ignatov, whom she had cynically installed as the scapegoat, was arrested by FBI agents at Los Angeles International Airport in March 2019. Facing the grim reality of a long prison sentence, he chose to cooperate with prosecutors, providing them with invaluable inside information about the workings of the OneCoin empire and his sister's activities. In exchange for his testimony against other figures in the conspiracy, he was ultimately sentenced to just 34 months in prison, a sentence he had effectively already served while in custody. His betrayal of his sister was a mirror image of her own betrayal of him, a final, sordid chapter in their family's criminal enterprise. The legal fallout has also ensnared the professionals who lent the scheme a veneer of legitimacy. Mark Scott, a prominent American lawyer, was convicted for his role in laundering an astonishing $400 million of Ruja's illicit profits through a series of fake investment funds. His legal expertise, once a tool for navigating corporate law, was repurposed to hide the proceeds of a global fraud, earning him a sentence of 10 years in federal prison. Similarly, Irina Dolinska, who served as OneCoin's head of legal and compliance, an incredibly ironic title, was sentenced to 4 years in prison after she admitted to her role in laundering at least $110 million for the organization, a profound breach of the very principles she was supposed to uphold. These convictions represent significant victories for law enforcement agencies that have spent years painstakingly piecing together this complex international case. Each sentence sends a clear message that facilitating such a massive fraud will not go unpunished. However, for the millions of victims scattered across the globe, the imprisonment of a few key players offers only a hollow sense of justice. The architects and enablers are facing accountability, but the vast majority of the stolen billions remains unrecovered, and the chief architect of their financial ruin, Dr. Ruja herself, remains tantalizingly out of reach, a ghost in the machine she created. The true cost of the OneCoin scam cannot be measured in prison sentences or legal victories. It is written in the devastating stories of its victims. An estimated 3.5 million people worldwide were lured into buying OneCoin's worthless education packages. Only a tiny fraction of them, those perched at the very top of the pyramid like Sebastian Greenwood, ever made any significant money. The vast majority, the foundation upon which the entire scheme was built, lost everything. They poured their life savings, their children's university funds, and even money borrowed from friends and family into a digital black hole, facing complete and utter financial ruin for believing in a charismatic liar. Victims like Jennifer McAdam from Scotland, who lost and witnessed her friends and family lose hundreds of thousands of euros, have bravely stepped forward to share their stories. In her book, The Devil's Coin, she chronicles not only the financial devastation, but also the psychological trauma inflicted by the scam. For speaking out against the powerful forces behind OneCoin, she has faced harassment and even threats of physical harm. As she so eloquently states, criminals like Ruja Ignatova have stolen far more than just cash. They have stolen a family's future, a child's education fund, the cost of life-saving hospital treatment, or as likely the money to pay for tonight's dinner. The wounds are deep, and for many, will never truly heal. Remarkably, despite the mountain of evidence, the global warnings, and the high-profile convictions, the OneCoin scam continues to operate in the shadows. Like a financial zombie, it refuses to die. Promoters have reportedly resurrected the scheme on the Polygon blockchain, finding new and creative ways to prey on the vulnerable and uninformed. They continue to collect millions of dollars from both legacy victims holding on to a sliver of false hope and new victims unaware of the toxic history. The organization also maintains its menacing presence, allegedly instilling fear in those who dare to speak out or try to assert their rights, a testament to the powerful criminal networks that still underpin the operation. And so, the ultimate question remains, hanging over this entire saga like a dark cloud. Where is the Cryptoqueen? Is she living a life of unimaginable luxury under a new identity, shielded by powerful allies in a country with no extradition treaty? Or did her dangerous dance with the criminal underworld end in a watery grave, her body dismembered and cast into the Ionian Sea? With the recent news of her London penthouse re-emerging into the public eye, the hunt for Ruja Ignatova has been dramatically reignited. Until she is found, dead or alive, the OneCoin scandal, one of the most audacious and bizarre financial crimes of the 21st century, will remain a story without an ending, its central mystery enduring.